everyone's looking for the young guy. They're looking for McVay. I think take a shot out Todd Bowles, get him a second shot at head coach, and see if he can do it.
I don't think they will. If they don't have Anthony Davis, I'm saying it right now. If Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
It's crazy. And our kids will know how great Tom Brady is because he's going to be playing.
Yes, it is 15.0%.
That's what the Yankees brought Garrett Cole to do.
He was a 6th-round pick. This is a fairy tale story that's being written in front of our eyes.
People like to call them their JV team, and they just stole one of their better players.
They didn't struggle against the Padres. The Padres didn't really put up a fight in most of the games.
Jerry Jones, hope you're listening.
Hi, I'm Landon Bowe, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by the man that, I think was in favor of this redesign, as this is the first year of the Clippers redesign, as we are talking about the Clippers, specifically Kawhi Leonard, and the man I'm talking about is Austin.
Yeah, this has been an interesting year for the Clippers. They're without Paul George now because he went on to the 76ers. They're without Kawhi because of a lot of injuries and everything else that's happened. I am obviously interested to see what occurs with Kawhi, and that's the reason why we're having this talk. The Clippers have gotten off to a good start. They're not by any means, especially when you consider that probably Kawhi is their best player. I'd say he is, even though Harden has played well to start this year. Kawhi is their best player, and the Clippers are 12-9. That's a better record than the Suns and the Timberwolves and the Kings and the Spurs. They're 8th in the Western Conference, but they're tied for 5th. So they're really between 5 and 8, all tied. They're not that far away from 4 or 3. And this team could really benefit from having a Kawhi on their roster. So the question really needs to be asked, will Kawhi return? And if he returns, will it be in time for the Clippers to make a playoff push?
Yeah, so I do think Kawhi returns. My other question to you is, how long is that return? Because that's the important thing in this. I do think he's going to come back for a game, but can it be consistent? Because that's what this team needs for the Clippers to move up into that, I would say, that higher part of the West. As you mentioned, they are basically competing for the 5th seed because the West is so close. They could all easily move in. The Clippers could easily move into the 4 or into the 5, then compete for the 3. To me, if Kawhi is healthy. But the thing is, you need consistent minutes, because you got to think about when Kawhi comes back, how are they going to alter the minutes? How does he play with Derek Jones Jr., who's someone who they signed, and I haven't seen how many minutes he's played, but defense.
Well, Derek Jones Jr. has been a starter, so yeah. They've made a couple signings, and those guys have played well, and I think that's a big part of why this team is in the position they are. Their players are playing well, and it's kind of seen a resurgence from Harden. Last year he averaged 16. This year he's averaging significantly more, which is impressive on his part. And the Clippers look well, like a well-built machine. I mean, they lost by 1 point in their last game to the Timberwolves, but they're playing competitively with almost everyone they play against. Ivica Zubac's having a career year. They have a lot of guys that I'm like, wow, he's playing well. Wow, he's playing well. And if you add Kawhi to this roster, it looks like a true, I wouldn't say contender, but looks like a very good basketball team, especially defensively. They've been one of the better defensive teams. And so do you think that Kawhi returns in a meaningful fashion this season?
I'm going to go no, because meaningful, I think. How many games did he play last year?
A lot.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he played like 60.
Okay, played like 60. So I would guess meaningful is 40 or 50. What do you think? What's your definition?
I was wrong. He played 68.
Wow.
He missed 14 games all last season.
Huh. Okay. So what is meaningful to you? I would say meaningful in Kawhi sense, I would go 40, because I guess that's how many. No. Because they're about 15. They're about close to 20 games in the season, just in general. I know the Mavs have played like 18. Clippers have played
21.
21 actually, 21 games because they have 12
Yeah.
wins, 9 losses. So 40 would put you at 60. It's an 80 game season. Let's go 45. I'm going to say no. I don't see him doing more than 45 games or getting to 45 games.
Okay. I think that's a fair thing to say. Do you think that the way the team plays impacts his willingness to return earlier than maybe he would have?
No, I don't think so. Because I think he's probably leading it, but I do think from the team aspect, because of just how close the West is, you can have teams push. I'm wondering if management and him kind of agree, we're in a playoff spot right now. I guess that answers your question. That is, it does dictate if he returns early or not as early. Because I'm thinking about if they're close to competing for a play-in spot, they may just save Kawhi for that time. So I guess yes to their standing does impact where he goes or when he decides to play.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think that if we're looking at like 35 games in and the Clippers are a top 6 seed in the West, I think he'll return around then. He doesn't have any clear injury designation regarding like surgeries or anything like that or a certain injury. It's just inflammation. It's just knee management. He doesn't feel safe. But I think that he wants to win another championship. I think every player that's playing, that's kind of the goal, right? And so I think if we're 35 games in and the team is playing well, he wants to return at that point. And if he wants to return around 35 games in, the amount of games that would be left would be 47. And I think that he could play. I think for me, it's 40. I'll go 42. I think 40 because that's, or no, 41. I'll go 41 because that's half the season, right? I think if you play half the season, that's meaningful. And so if he could miss 6 games the rest of the year, and I think he can manage that. Maybe just skip every single back-to-back, and there's 6 of them left or something like that. So I definitely think that if the Clippers are good enough, he'll return. The question really becomes, will the Clippers be good enough?
Okay, so this is where we disagree. If the Clippers are in the top 6 spot, let's go with that that scenario. I think they actually wait for Kawhi. So I only see him.
I don't, because I think they realize that if you're in a top 6 spot, right, and you're in 6, 5, 4, don't you want home court advantage?
Yes.
And so Kawhi playing would be advantageous in that sense, right? Getting the 4 versus getting the 6 is extremely, I think, advantageous to get the 4. Because it's home court advantage in the first round. I think that increases your odds tremendously.
Okay. So that to me is where they're like, actually, in that scenario, I see them. They do have that idea of home court advantage. But to me, the bigger thing is we want full, healthy Kawhi for a playoff push in the playoffs, because then they would rely heavily on him in the playoff minutes. So that's where I would only see him coming back early if they fall below the 8 spot and they're starting to lose that play-in position, or even miss that 6 spot if they want to stay out of the plan, which is advantageous to them. That is where I would see Kawhi rushing back.
I think as long as you're above, I think maybe if they're a top 3 seed, you don't. But I really think that having home court advantage is extremely important. And so I don't see the difference between 6 and 5. So if you're in 4, I think being in 6 is much better than being in a play-in spot, like you said. But does Kawhi want home court advantage? I would say yes, because it gives him the best opportunity to win a championship in the future, right? I think as many home series as you can have in a row increases your odds. And while the Clippers aren't obviously the best team in the world right now, if you make a couple trades maybe we get there. Maybe the Clippers are open to making a trade or two. So I do think Kawhi decides to play if we get to the point where they're in a 6-5-4 spot and are competing and it's really close. Maybe if it's not close, maybe if 6 and 4 have a big gap, he wouldn't play, and also 7 has a big gap. But also, if you're in 6 and you're trying to get to 4, you also try not to get 7, right? Because like you said, it's a play-in spot. So I think if you're around 5 to 7, he's playing no matter what.
Okay. Yeah, and so you think, well, I'll agree with 41 because that is half the season. I don't think he reaches that. You do think he reaches that.
If they're in a top 6 spot,
Okay.
I think he play. If they're in a top 6 spot, 35 games in, I think yes, I do.
Okay, got it. Okay. Well, yeah, that is all we have. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Austin and I disagree, but let us know if you disagree with us, agree with one of us. I'm pretty sure that's the only way it could happen. You have to agree with one of us since kind of stated both options, but let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.